Our story begins with a car accident where the brakes is broken and the car jumps out off the road and explodes. But the person in that car was diplomatic from another country, and this was a smooth assassination to start the war again between the East and West. The Westalian Intelligence already has some clues about this, and they must stop it. They have no other option but to send their best agent ever, Twilight. That's a code name for the elite spy every nation covets, and their country was blessed to be on his good side. In a faraway location, there is secret trading happening in exchange for a file that's going to be used to blackmail the Prime Minister of that country. But after that customer leaves, they find they were tricked and gave the file to the wrong person. They were tricked like fools. That person is the spy with the code name Twilight. Later that night, on a dinner table, a girl is complaining to her boyfriend Robert that her dad was so angry today 'cause someone stole his documents, but she notices a marriage proposal nearby and asks Robert if they can be the same one day. But the guy suddenly stands and breaks up with her, leaving her alone. He walks outside, checks the files he got today, and apologizes in his mind to the girl. He had abandoned such happiness since the day he became a spy. He is briefed on the next assignment after wrapping up his latest mission. A few days prior, a key Westalese diplomat perished in an alleged vehicular accident in Ostania. However, Westalese authorities strongly suspect the demise was actually an assassination organized by an opposition faction in Ostania, jeopardizing the fragile peace between the nations. Failure is not an option, and Twilight is the sole agent capable of succeeding. His mark is the opposition chieftain, Donovan Desmond, the greatest threat to cordial ties. Twilight must get near to Desmond and probe his illicit activities. Desmond is prudent, only appearing at collegiate social functions of his son. Therefore, Twilight's initial step is procuring a child. In 1 week's time, he must pass the entrance exam to infiltrate the son's Eden College. Comprehending his directive, Twilight arrives days later in Berlin, a city in Ostania. Adopting the persona of Lloyd Forger, psychiatrist, he purchases a home. Without delay, Lloyd visits a local orphanage seeking an intelligent child who can easily ace the exam. The proprietor introduces a girl named Anya. Lloyd sees she is only 4 years old, 2 years shy of exam eligibility. But he doesn't know that this girl is a lab-drop kid. She can read his mind and declares she is 6. To demonstrate her aptitude, she effortlessly completes a crossword puzzle from Lloyd's thoughts. Amazed, Lloyd promptly decides to take her. Anya gained mental powers from past experiments. Lloyd informs Anya she is now his biological daughter. Anya concurs. Entering the spacious house, she is awestruck. Anya turns on the television to watch her favorite anime about a spy named Bondman battling evil. While Anya is engrossed, Lloyd heads out, but she notices and tags along too. A cardinal rule of spy work is avoiding undue attention. However, energetic Anya makes stealth difficult. As time passes, Lloyd realizes Anya's not as bright as assumed. She mistakes a bakery for selling bacon and pays a penny instead of $1. Lloyd wonders if her crossword feat was a fluke and contemplates replacing her. Overhearing, Anya sobs that her father will sell her. Lloyd panics and reassures he won't. That night, he studies parenting books to comprehend Anya's thinking. He learns cultivating children's minds enables progress, useless for his temporary mission. The next day, Lloyd wants Anya to study, but she refuses, so he secures her inside to rendezvous with Agent Frank. Frank reports Anya mysteriously lacks any background, not even parents. In 1 year, she cycled through 5 families. Bored, Anya unlocks and handles Lloyd's devices, telepathically discerning his password. Unwittingly, she transmits a message intercepted by intelligence services, exposing Lloyd's presence. Returning, Lloyd notices something odd. Ambushed entering, he swiftly neutralizes them. Seeing Anya missing, he realizes his cover is blown and can't continue this charade. Suddenly, an assailant attacks. Meanwhile, Anya is bound hostage. Unsure of her identity, they intend to use her as leverage. The head arrives with Lloyd and recognizes the ruse. Carrying Anya, Lloyd flees. Though knowing he's her father, Anya plays along as captive. Outside, Lloyd directs Anya to safety, planning to send her back to the orphanage. Despite overhearing his thoughts, Anya complies. Lloyd re-enters, easily defeating them with traps. He warns the head against future meddling, threatening to expose his daughter's crimes, knowing his paternal weakness. After wrapping up, Lloyd heads home. To his surprise, Anya awaits, pretending ignorance and clinging to her father, saying she'd cry if he abandoned her. He doesn't want to put her in danger again, but after knowing she changed 5 families in just 1 year, he decides to stick with her until the mission ends. After several days, Anya takes her entrance exam, thinking it would be easy. She realizes all of the pupils near her are in the same predicament as her. With no other recourse, she starts to remember what her father taught her and accordingly answers the questions. When the results were published, Lloyd finds her name and is so relieved that in his entire profession, for once he let his guard down. Back at their new abode, Anya receives a letter in the mail and goes to give it to her father. But Lloyd is sleeping, so she decides to rest beside him. But immediately Lloyd's senses are alerted and he gets up. Lloyd reads the letter, and it's from Eden Academy about the admission process advancing to the interview phase, where Anya has to come with both of her parents. Without any delay, Lloyd starts looking for a mother. Frank tries his best, but for Anya he is unacceptable. Lloyd doesn't have ample time, so he must take swift action. The scene shifts to the municipal building, where a few female employees are unnerved after a thief broke into their office only to obtain information on women. Among the female employees, there is a woman named Yor, who doesn't assimilate well because despite being 27 she doesn't have a partner. In a society where a woman over 25 years old without a partner is suspected of indulging in illegal activities. Camilla, one of the female employees, shares how a woman matching that description was caught for engaging in such activities. She asks Yor if she is still single. Yor doesn't want to be seen as a suspicious person, so she fabricates having a partner. Camilla knows she is lying, and to embarrass her, she invites Yor to her home for her birthday celebration with her partner. Yor knows she dug a hole for herself. She is worried and must find a solution. After work at home, Yor receives a call from her younger brother Yuri. Yuri, like always, is concerned for Yor's well-being and contentment. He asks if she wants him to find someone to marry. But Yor doesn't want to make her brother fret, so she again lies about having a boyfriend, with whom she is going to Camilla's party. Yuri is glad to know it. He is a friend of Camilla's husband, so he will ask him about what type of person she is dating. Yor is now anxious. She doesn't want her brother to see her as a liar, so as soon as another call comes, she rushes to clarify she was joking. But the call is not from Yuri, it's from Yor's main work employer. Yor's attitude suddenly changes. During the day she works as a staff member in City Hall, but at night she is a cold-blooded assassin who takes on client requests and ruthlessly eliminates the traitors backstabbing her country. After completing her job, while washing her hands, Yor notices her dress got torn, so she decides to buy herself an outfit for the party. The following day, Lloyd is provided with all the names of the women willing to get married in 48 hours. Because of recent spy hunts, Lloyd is skeptical to rely on any of his female agents, and believes it's better to have a genuine wife. After reading the information, he goes to buy some dresses for Anya. In the boutique, Lloyd is examining every woman to identify a potential wife. But most of them have affairs or are divorced. To pass the interview, he needs an unblemished wife. Just then, Yor enters the shop. Lloyd is astonished to see he wasn't able to detect her presence unless she spoke. He starts investigating who she is. He soon discovers her parents were deceased long ago, and she only has one younger brother, and no details on divorce or affairs. Both are civil servants and have clean records. But unexpectedly, Yor asks Lloyd why he has been staring at her since she entered. Lloyd is surprised to know she was able to notice. Lloyd fabricates being enthralled by her beauty. Yor gets excited. She wants to ask him out, but on seeing he has a child, she hesitates. Anya reads her thoughts and finds out she is an assassin and looking for a partner. She can't help but get thrilled at the prospect of having an assassin mother, so she suddenly requests Lloyd that she wants a mother. On learning this, Yor inquires about Lloyd's wife, and knowing she is deceased, she asks Lloyd to be her partner for an upcoming celebration if he doesn't mind. Lloyd finds her perfect for the wife's role. He agrees, and in return requests her to be his wife for his daughter's interview. Yor consents. Even though Lloyd has asked Yor to be his wife only for the interview, he does plan to propose to her and marry her until the mission completes. Back at home, Lloyd receives an assignment, which he has to carry out on the day of the party. To wrap it up quickly, he brings Frank. After inflicting enough damage and taking away a bag filled with illegal jewels, Lloyd is glad to know he finished his work on time. However, a car suddenly comes from the front and starts attacking. On the other side, Yor has been waiting for hours. She finally understands what it feels like to have your heart toyed with, so she decides to go by herself. Camilla with others starts gossiping about how shameless Yor is to lie about having a partner. They start suspecting that Yor might be involved in something illicit. Dominic, Camilla's husband, greets Yor. Yor requests him to tell his brother that she came with her partner, but Camilla hears it and says it won't happen because it's immoral for someone to lie just to impress others. Yor doesn't know what she has done to Camilla that she always obstructs her path. Yor has the urge to kill everyone in the room so that no one will be alive to tell her brother the truth. But on regaining her senses, she calms down. Even after minutes, when Yor is still here, Camilla and others gossip how someone can be this shameless. Yor, with her sharp senses, hears them and is about to take her leave when Lloyd comes covered in blood. He introduces himself as Yor's husband, but he soon realizes he made a mistake as they agreed he is going as Yor's boyfriend. To explain the blood, Lloyd says he had a violent episode with his patient. Camilla couldn't believe Yor has a husband who is this good-looking and attractive. She tries to embarrass her by revealing that in Yor's previous work she used to go to hotel rooms to provide special massages. Actually, the massages were a front for the murders. But Lloyd expresses he doesn't care about such things. He shares Yor lost her parents at a very young age, and to ensure her younger brother is raised properly, she sacrificed herself. It's one thing he admires about her. After saying this, Lloyd and Yor take their leave. On the way, suddenly a car starts ramming against their van. Lloyd realizes it's the attackers from earlier. Yor asks who they are. So Lloyd explains they are his patients whose treatment went awry, and now they are angry with him. Luckily, Yor believes the explanation. To conceal her assassinations and not arouse suspicion, Yor asks Lloyd if he would marry her. Not anything romantic, just a pretend family. Lloyd was already planning this. As they are being shot at, Lloyd nimbly unpins a grenade and hurls it. As it explodes, he puts the pin on Yor's finger and marries her. The very next day, Yor arrives with her belongings. Anya eagerly welcomes her mother. Yor is blushing at being called mother. Anya starts giving a small tour of their house, and because they are only pretending to be a couple, Lloyd and Yor's room is separate. Lloyd has forged a marriage certificate stating they have been married for a year, as it will not seem suspicious to Eden College. With everything being prepared, Lloyd briefs them about the potential questions the interviewer can ask. To ensure they perform well, he quizzes both of them. But he soon realizes neither of them think or act like an upper-class family. So to familiarize them, Lloyd takes them out to spend a day as a normal upper-class family. They start by going to listen to opera, then to an art gallery. And after, they buy a dress for the interview and a family photo as well. Along with this, Lloyd makes sure to tell them how an upper-class family acts and speaks. Later at lunch, when he tries to test them, he is dismayed to see there is no progress at all. Lloyd is losing hope. If this doesn't work, he just has to come up with every possible question the interviewer asks and prepare both of them accordingly. Yor notices how worried Lloyd is. She suggests relaxing a bit for a change of pace. Lloyd agrees, and after lunch, they go out to unwind. But their relaxation is soon disrupted when a thief stole a grandma's purse. Yor, without any hesitation, rushes to catch the thief, but by the time she reaches, the thief is long gone. Lloyd also goes to apprehend him, but he soon notices the thief has blended in with the crowd. Anya uses her telepathy to hear the crowd's thoughts and locates the thief. Not to raise any suspicion, she points to the shop next to the thief. Lloyd looks in that direction and quickly spots the thief. Even though the appearance has changed, it's still hard to alter the way you walk. With that clue, he promptly apprehends him. As a spy, he broke his rule to not draw attention. But after Yor intervened, he had to step in as well. After returning the purse, the grandma shows her gratitude towards them. Lloyd is surprisingly content. In his entire life, he has never been thanked for his work, but this is certainly a pleasant change of pace. He thanks Yor for it. Yor starts to blush. Anya points out they are flirting, but they immediately deny it. Looking at them, Grandma compliments what a good family they make. At home, after Anya's request, Yor makes hot cocoa. Despite Yor's poor cooking, this is the only thing Anya loves her mother prepares. Even though Anya and Yor are not prepared for the interview, after knowing how they are perceived as a lovely family by the grandma, Lloyd takes it as a success. Finally, on the day of the interview, everyone is ready and enters the college. As soon they enter, Lloyd and Yor detect someone is observing them. Lloyd figures out these are instructors monitoring their every movement, meaning the exam has already begun. And just as he thought, the instructors are evaluating the families just from the way they walk. Out of all the families, the head instructor, Henry, is impressed by the elegance of the Forger family. He asks for more details about them, but on finding the child Anya has barely passed the exam with 30 points, he doesn't find them elegant anymore. According to him, if a child is 30 points, their parents are also 30 points. Soon, the second stage begins. A student is stuck and requesting help. It's a test to see if they helped the kid or not, because if they did, their clothes would be dirty, which is inappropriate for the interview. Lloyd, without any hesitation, assists the student. His clothes get dirty, but Lloyd was already prepared and had an extra pair. Henry is amazed, but he still wants to assess them further. Suddenly, many animals are loose and charging towards the families. At first, everyone thought it is another stage, but it's an actual mishap. Henry is worried. He immediately issues orders to ensure no one is injured. Lloyd saves the boy from being crushed. A cow, who seems to be the leader of the herd, is approaching them. This time, Yor decides to handle it. With her assassin skills, she neutralizes the cow immediately. Henry couldn't believe how a family could be this remarkable. He goes and shows his gratitude to the Forger family. Despite their clothes being ruined, he passes them to the interview stage for saving the college's reputation. Lloyd tells him not to worry because he brought another pair of clothes. At this point, Henry is not just impressed, he is genuinely intimidated. The last stage, also the interview stage, begins. In Lloyd's entire career, he has infiltrated a terrorist group and stopped a nuke with just 1 second remaining. But today, he is very anxious. Soon, their turn comes. The first question is to Lloyd about how he met his current wife and how she has impacted their family. Lloyd calmly answers it and describes Yor's qualities. When asked the same question to Yor, she also gives a great response. Out of the 3 interviewers, Lloyd is worried about Swan. He researched him and found out he is greedy, recently divorced, has many affairs, and has been a spoiled son his whole life. And just as he expected, Swan asks Yor why a beautiful woman like her married someone with such a mundane occupation. But Henry cut him off by branding the question as impolite. Without provoking him, Lloyd answers the rest of the inquiries. When asked about Anya and Yor's weaknesses and strengths, Lloyd shares his daughter is an intelligent pupil with a shortcoming of being a finicky eater. And as for Yor, she is a great wife and mother, but has trouble cooking. Swan is furious. He can't believe how Lloyd married a woman who can't even cook. Lloyd assures despite it, Yor is a wonderful mother for Anya, which is more important to him than being a chef. Swan is angry. He can't stand to see an attractive couple caring for each other. He is determined to ruin this interview. Anya hears it. She comprehends she must do her best to prevent that. Soon, the questions shifted to Anya. Just like Lloyd taught her, Anya is answering them, even though barely, when asked about what she thinks about their parents and how many points she would give. Anya answers they are very nice parents with whom she would want to reside forever. And because of it, she gives them 100 points. Swan had enough. He asks Anya who is a better mother, her biological or new mother. Lloyd is irritated. While restraining himself, he requests a different question. But Swan threatens to deduct their points. Anya starts sobbing about remembering her past. Swan laughs. He can't accept someone in this academy who weeps over such small, trivial things. Lloyd has been enduring a lot. He just releases his anger and ends up breaking the table, making an excuse there was an insect. After it, before Lloyd leaves, he emphasizes that he doesn't want his daughter to attend such an institution where playing with a child's emotions is normalized. Henry is furious at Swan, but Swan reminds him that his father's authority on this academy is immense, and if Henry said anything else, he will be dismissed. Henry is an instructor who genuinely wants to teach and nourish the pupils. He just can't contain his anger anymore and ends up punching Swan. And as for the authorities, he will deal with them. At home, Lloyd is devastated to see his assignment has failed. It's the first time he let his emotions interfere. Yor and Anya could see how worried he is. They tell him not to fret because the other two professors were decent people, who will definitely vouch for them. Lloyd knows the worst case is he has to abandon the mission. But after hearing Anya wanted to cohabitate with them forever, he wants to spend a little more time with them, even if it's just a pretend family. Lloyd regains his composure and hopes for a better outcome. The day when the results are going to be proclaimed has come. The forger's family begins the day with anticipation, but multiple omens occurred in the form of a black cat, Yor's wristwatch breaking, and the worst, Anya stepping on excrement. Lloyd doesn't believe in such things and proceeds to check the results, but soon realizes the omens materialized when he couldn't find Anya's name. He is devastated. On the way, Henry stops them and shows them the list of additional successful candidates. In it, Anya's name is at the top, meaning if any of the currently selected students were to withdraw, she will get into the academy. Lloyd and Yor are appreciative to know it. But Yor wonders if no one withdraws, then Anya and Lloyd will be crestfallen. So in order to prevent that, she must take action. But she snaps back and scolds herself for thinking to use violence against innocent pupils. Anya heard it all. She is very thrilled. At home, Anya is performing rituals to get accepted. Just then, a call came. Lloyd picks it up, and fortunately, Anya is selected. Everyone is elated. Frank already got the information and came to celebrate. As a gift, Anya requests she wants to be rescued by a gallant knight from a castle. Lloyd immediately refuses, but Frank tells that a theme park nearby has a castle that can be rented out. Lloyd is still reluctant. But after Anya gives the ultimatum that she'll not attend the academy, Lloyd finally agrees. The headquarters receives the message from Lloyd to make the arrangements for Anya's gift. Normally, such a request will not be fulfilled, but Lloyd did mention it is a crucial part of Operation Strix. So, the headquarters agrees to send top agents and provide funds to rent the castle for the night. Soon, a plane arrives. Everyone gets on it and heads to the castle. At the castle, every elite agent is disguised as a servant and part of a noble family. Even though they are top agents, still for them to meet Twilight and assist him in the mission is a great privilege. Lloyd briefs them on what to do, and everyone gets into position. Frank is playing the villain role. He kidnaps Anya and takes off. Lloyd is playing the role of gallant knight. Just like planned, he goes to rescue Anya. On his way, he dodges multiple projectiles, takes down top agents, and uses his spy skills to reach Anya. On seeing her father is doing all of this just for her, Anya is very content. After doing all of this, Lloyd's next opponent is Tipsy Yor, who is playing the role of a sorceress. Yor, when inebriated, doesn't know how to control her powers, so every move of hers is lethal. While evading her attacks, instead of wondering how his wife is this strong, Lloyd wonders how a sorceress is using physical attacks. After multiple attacks, when Yor tries to kick, her heels broke and she passes out. Lloyd checks and is relieved to see Yor has fallen asleep. At last, the main villain appears. Lloyd easily defeats him, and after much effort he finally rescues Anya. Anya is very happy. All the agents are glad to see they were part of such a momentous mission. With this, Anya promises to do her best in the academy. The following day, Anya's measurements are taken to make her school uniform. The shopkeeper congratulates them and also warns about the increase in Eden College student kidnappings. Both Lloyd and Anya are alerted. After 5 days, the uniform is ready, but because Lloyd has some work, he requests Yor to go and take the uniform instead. After leaving home, Lloyd meets up with Sylvia, who is in charge of delivering information related to Operation Strix. She gives the details regarding Phase 2. In Eden College, an exceptional student with outstanding grades and contributions to society is given points known as Stella. When a pupil earns 8 of them, they will become an Imperial Scholar. Desmond, being a prudent man, only attends social gatherings organized for Imperial Scholars and their parents. However, if students perform poorly, they will receive demerits known as nitrous bolts. 8 of them will get them expelled. So in the next phase, Lloyd has to ensure Anya becomes an Imperial Scholar. On the other side, after collecting the uniform, Yor goes to buy some items for the home. While she's in the store, Anya goes out. But as soon as she steps out, she is kidnapped by 4 miscreants. Anya remembers what the shopkeeper told her. But before the abductors go any further, Yor came to the rescue. She is very angry. She warns them to leave or else she will turn their heads into squash pumpkins. Seeing her strength, all of them get frightened and flee. Yor is depressed to see she failed as a mother. To make sure this doesn't happen again at home, Anya and Yor practice combat training until orientation day. Finally, the day of the orientation arrives. Every selected pupil has gathered with their parents. Students are being allocated to their respective classes. Among all the pupils, it's Damien Desmond whom Lloyd is observing. He is Desmond's second son. Lloyd has 2 plans. Plan A is to make Anya an Imperial Scholar, on which Lloyd has almost abandoned hope. But Plan B has very high chances in it. Anya will befriend Damien, so that as a parent, Lloyd can be invited to their house. Anya heard Lloyd's scheme and understands what she has to do. But when she reads Damien's mind, she is shocked to see he thinks of her as a creepy girl staring at him for no reason. In Anya's class, there are many children whose parents have huge power in this country. Lloyd hopes she would get along with all of them. But when a girl named Becky greets her, Anya ignores her. Because when she read her mind, Becky considers Anya a baby whom she wants to take care of as a big sister. Anya's class homeroom teacher is Henry. He gives a small tour to the pupils and gives brief information about the importance of being an Imperial Scholar and how to become one. All of the students are from extremely wealthy and powerful families, and after knowing Anya's father is a mere doctor, Damien and his friend start harassing her by calling her a peasant. When she's pushed by one of Damien's friends, Anya is about to unleash her killer punch, which Yor taught her. But she remembers what her mother told her about controlling her emotions in such situations, as it will make her a much bigger person, so Anya with a smirk forgives them. Becky, who earlier thought Anya is a baby, changes her opinion and considers her a grown-up. Anya is very happy to hear it, but Damien is angry. For this humiliation, he is planning to make Anya's life at Academy a living hell. On the way, he and his friends continue to bully her. After a lot of tolerance, Anya couldn't control her emotions anymore. Her emotions burst into a killer punch, which made Damien fly away. Henry comes running demanding an explanation. Becky explained that all day Damien and his friends were harassing Anya, but this time he went too far. Henry is not satisfied with the explanation, because in the end, Anya did use violence. To save herself, Anya explains she used violence because Damien hurt Becky's foot. Henry is impressed to know Anya restrained herself all this time, but when her friend was hurt, she used her strength for retribution. But still, he calls up Lloyd to explain the incident. Unknowing it's Desmond's son, Lloyd is crestfallen to see his scheme is already unraveling. Normally, a pupil will receive 3 demerits in case of violence, but after Henry's appeal, Anya only received 1. The next morning, while cooking, Lloyd is anxious to see Plan B is about to fail even before initiating. Soon, Yor and Anya wake up. Anya again apologizes for what she did and promises to reconcile with Damien. Lloyd is glad to hear it. After Anya leaves for academy, Lloyd and Yor go to their vocations. At school, when Anya meets Damien, she tries to apologize. But before she does, Becky takes her away. Lloyd, who is spying, gets apprehensive to see Becky trying to foil the plan. In the class, because of yesterday's incident, Anya has developed an infamous reputation. Most of the pupils are frightened of her and hope she leaves the academy. But Becky comforts Anya to not feel bad because she is with her. On the other side, Desmond, who has all his life lived in opulence with no one to ever talk back or defy his orders, is humiliated by a mere commoner. This infuriates him and makes him determined to take his revenge. After the first class ends, Anya again tries to apologize, but Becky again thwarts it. By this time, Lloyd is panicking. He had enough and takes matters into his own hands. Throughout the time, he gives indirect signals to Anya in the form of a textbook, a note attached to a student's back, and a message on omelette rice. But despite the efforts, Becky keeps foiling it. Lloyd had enough. He goes to the announcement deck and calls Becky to the student hall. After she left, Anya goes to Damien. On seeing Anya, Damien, who was earlier enraged, is in shock to see his heart is strangely pulsating heavily. As Anya tries to speak, she hears Emil and Ewan's thoughts, who are getting excited just thinking what embarrassing name Damien will give her. Short-legged girl, gorilla girl, or maybe a stubby raccoon. Hearing all these thoughts make Anya sentimental. While sobbing, she finally apologizes for punching, and that she wants to reconcile. Damien starts to blush. He can't believe Anya is actually contrite for her mistake. On seeing her face, Damien is feeling strange. He doesn't know what feeling this is, but he ends up dashing away saying he will not pardon her because his ego won't let him. Lloyd is disheartened. With this, he concludes Plan B is done for. So from the next day, he puts some hope into Plan A and makes Anya study for hours without any breaks. Anya had enough of mental anguish. She goes inside her room and locks herself in. No matter how many times Lloyd asks her to come out, she won't. Yor understands Lloyd is anxious, but still, she suggests him to give her a respite, but Yor realizes she was overstepping. So she apologizes for meddling in someone else's family affairs. Lloyd tells her not to think like that, because even though they are in a pretend relationship, still she is his wife now and an important member of this family. He respects her thoughts. Lloyd realizes he was too strict on Anya, even though he is not her real father. He still wants to become the ideal father so he can anticipate Anya's movements and thinking. So he goes and tells Anya about her spy anime starting soon. After no response, he goes inside and sees Anya is asleep and was studying alone. Lloyd feels proud of her. He tucks her in bed and wishes her good night. On the other side, Yuri meets Dominic on his way. He greets him and asks about the person his sister is betrothed to. The scene shifted to the next day, where Sylvia believes Anya would have already garnered 2 to 3 stellies. After all, it was Lloyd who selected her. While panicking, Lloyd assures her everything is going fine. After it, Sylvia proceeds to caution Lloyd about Ostinia's security service being vigorous lately about foreign spies. She tells him to take care. Lloyd comprehends. The scene shifts to City Hall, where one of the veterans' personnel, Howard, is detained for supplying classified data to Westalians. The state's security service used their youngest officer to interrogate him. And it's Yuri, who on paper is a civil servant with a peaceful vocation, but in reality worked for security service. Yuri, being only 20 years old, is underestimated by his superiors, but he is adept at his job. First, he calmly requests Howard to disclose everything he knows. Yuri has a sister obsession and today he is going to visit, so he wants Howard to not waste his time. After gathering enough evidence and data, Yuri knows Howard has been betraying their country for money. And also there is an elite spy named Twilight in their country who is the most nefarious being in this world. With no way out, Howard reveals what information he supplied. But he does clarify he doesn't know anything about Twilight. Yuri knows Twilight is not an easy man after all, he is his natural adversary. Even after revealing this, Yuri still beats him and breaks his nose for betraying and endangering his sister's safety just for some money. Back home, Yor comes anxious and tells about her brother coming to visit them. She doesn't want him to find out this is a sham marriage. Lloyd assures her not to fret because he has prepared extensively. It's about time Yuri comes. Anya wants to meet her uncle badly, but she ends up dozing off. Yuri on his way is wondering why his sister waited for an entire year to disclose her marriage. He wonders if her husband is an evil person, and she is fearful of introducing him. Because if this is the case, he will use his authority to ensure he suffers. Yuri enters home with a bright smile. Lloyd greets him with a bright smile as well. Yuri sits down and gets straight to the point. He asks Yor the reason she didn't tell him earlier about the marriage. At first, Lloyd wanted to tell the truth that they married just because Yor doesn't want to seem suspicious for being single, and he needed a mother for his daughter, but Yor was against it. Because Yuri is sensitive, and to know his sister married someone she doesn't love, he would lose his temper and might cause havoc. So Yor assured him not to fret because she knows what to tell him. Back in the present, Yor tells her brother that she completely forgot to inform him. Lloyd is astonished to hear it. But to Lloyd's surprise, Yuri believes the reasoning because in front of his sister, he loses all sense of logic. Lloyd presents the dinner, but Yuri gets irritated at Lloyd for interrupting the conversation. He expected the food to be dreadful, but he is furious to see how delectable it is. Yuri has brought some juice as a gift so that he can make Lloyd get inebriated and reveal his true identity. But on seeing his sister and Lloyd are already on a first-name basis, he is crestfallen. Even he, who lived with Yor for years, didn't dare to call her by it. He is so infuriated, he ends up drinking too much juice. Lloyd sees the situation is worsening, and to ameliorate it, he asks Yuri about his occupation and the juice he bought. Yuri shares that for work purposes he was in Hagaria before coming here. They're from Calpatia. The old man who is the owner sold him this bottle for around 200. It was at this moment Lloyd realizes Yuri is from the secret police. It's because what Yuri just told is exactly one of the deceptions Westalian's intelligence service teaches their officers. And because after knowing about Operation Strix, Lloyd went to the shop and find out the shop is now run by the owner's son and the bottle now costs around 300. Lloyd, understanding the menace of involvement with the secret police, calmly handles Yuri. However, Yuri has drank too much and starts asking his sister what she saw in this chap that despite having a child she married him. Yor tries to calm Yuri but ends up spilling some juice. As she tries to clean it, her hand touches Lloyd and both of them immediately pull it away. Yuri is surprised to see it. He starts suspecting how a couple who has been married for an entire year is blushing just at a slight touch. Yor and Lloyd try their best to convince him how much they love each other. But Yuri demands he wants to see them kiss. And if they don't, he will revoke their marriage license. Lloyd has been in this situation a lot of times where he has counterfeited his love, and this time too it's not anything special. Lloyd looks into Yor's eyes and tells her that they are going to do what they always do. Yor starts to blush. Lloyd holds her and comes forward to kiss her. Yor is panicking, but she knows it's vital to deceive her brother. So, to make sure she pulls it off, she drinks the juice, and with it, she is instantly in the mood. As they are about to kiss, Yuri realizes after all he just can't endure watching her sister kissing someone else in front of him. He rushes to stop them. But Yor, despite being inebriated, realizes it's still too much for her. So in embarrassment, she swings to slap, but Yuri comes in front and takes the hit. He ends up getting many injuries. Yuri misunderstood and thinks Yor slapped him because she didn't want him to stop their kiss. He apologizes for doubting their love as he's about to collapse from bleeding. Yor holds him seeing them together. Lloyd is gratified to see what lovely siblings they are. He thanks Yuri for protecting Yor up until now, but from now on he will take care of her. But Yuri is not going to be swayed this easily. Before departing, he cautions Lloyd that he is going to return to prove he is deceiving his sister. After Yuri leaves, Lloyd comprehends he must stay vigilant and often checks for surveillance devices in the house. The next day, Anya awakens, only to realize she missed encountering her uncle. And on reading Lloyd's mind, she is disheartened to know he is in the secret police. All the amusement she could have had is now gone. After knowing Yuri is in the secret police, Lloyd is starting to be suspicious of Yor's involvement in the secret police as well. He doesn't desire this to be true, because then Operation Strix would be in peril, but he still needs to verify it. As an agent, he must be doubting of everyone and everything. So before heading out, he covertly attaches the listening apparatus to Yor's collar. Anya has been listening to Lloyd's thoughts regarding his suspicions about her mother. She doesn't want their parents to separate, so before going to academy, she tells both of them to get along. Lloyd is astonished to see children are this perceptive. On the other side, Yuri, who is at work, suddenly realizes he should have placed surveillance devices in Lloyd's house. But he soon disregards it, upon realizing he would have to hear their voices at night, which he wouldn't be able to tolerate. The scene shifts to the municipal building, where Yor is sad because she is neither a proper cook nor she was able to kiss Lloyd. She sees herself as a failure. She asks her colleagues for assistance, but as expected, instead of aiding her, they remind Yor that her husband is just too good for her. As they are conversing, Lloyd is listening. He wonders why Yor is trying to be a better mother and wife when it's just a sham family. He decides to investigate further into it. So after Yor goes out to mail the letter, Lloyd with Frank masquerade as secret police, and after Yor mails it, they stop her for interrogation. They retrieve the letter she just mailed and ask why there are secret codes written meant for Westalies. Yor starts panicking. She explains that it was her superior who told her to mail it. Lloyd demands her name, and after Yor tells them, they become aggressive and ask the reason her name is in the letter. Yor is anxious. She tries to clarify she doesn't know anything, but then Lloyd threatens that because of the treason she will get the cruelest of punishments. However, just in case any of her family members work in the secret police, her punishment would be reduced. But when Yor again refuses to know anything, Frank tries to be forceful. But Yor soon puts him in his place and tells him she is married. So if any other person except her husband touches her, she would break that person's arm. Lloyd reminds her that by not cooperating, she is also endangering her family. Yor with her death stare threatens them that if they do anything to her family, then they will suffer the consequences. Lloyd confirms his suspicion was erroneous. He wraps up by looking at the letter again and apologizing for misinterpreting the message. Yor feels relief. She doesn't say anything and departs. Lloyd realizes that it's just Yor has become attached to her family. And because of it, he now feels remorseful for doubting her. Frank is surprised to hear it. He reminds Lloyd that he is Westalie's best agent who has never felt guilty about being suspicious of someone. Frank cautions Lloyd that if he is too becoming attached to his sham family, the mission is in jeopardy. It's evening, and Yor on her way meets Lloyd. As an excuse to remove dirt from her collar, he gets rid of the listening device. Yor apologizes for not being able to properly act like a mother and a wife. But Lloyd comforts her not to feel like this because being a parent can be tiring. It's always good to try to become a better parent. But it's also important to take your time and not rush it. Yor is glad to hear it. She is grateful that it's Lloyd she chose to marry. Anya comes home. After hearing her father's thoughts, she is elated to know everything is resolved. The next day, Anya is studying for her upcoming test. In her earlier exam, she didn't do great, so Lloyd is ensuring she doesn't escape and completes her studies. Anya can't let this keep going on. Earlier, she made the mistake of picking the wrong student. This time, she must select the right one so her father doesn't compel her to study this much. Lloyd could see Anya is losing focus, so for today he decides it is enough for the academic area and focuses on non-academic areas, which will help her unwind as well. So Anya does art, plays musical instruments and tennis. But instead of relaxing, all of these things are making it worse. So Lloyd takes her to an infirmary, where she can learn to do volunteer work. But there also, whatever the nurse tells her to do, she ends up making a mistake. And after some time, the nurse gets frustrated and implores them to leave. Inside the rehabilitation pool, a boy named Ken, who is here for therapy, accidentally falls into the pool. He asks for assistance, but because he is so far away, the other people present there aren't aware of him. But Anya, on her way, hears the scream. She can't tell her father because it will be suspicious, so as an excuse of becoming a pro swimmer, she runs towards the pool and decides to help the kid herself. Anya arrives and notices the bubbles. She immediately jumps in and tries to grab Ken's hand, but she loses consciousness. Fortunately, Lloyd came for assistance and saves both of them. Soon, everyone comes running and is glad to see both of them are okay. Lloyd thanks Anya for her reckless urge to swim, because of which Ken was saved. Before leaving, Ken shows his gratitude to Anya, and the next day, the news spread about Anya's valor, and she receives her first Stella. Both Lloyd and Yor are proud of her. Anya is very content as well, because it's the first time her power helped someone. From the next day onwards, Anya's image has suddenly improved, and she is like a celebrity. Every child of her age is looking up at her because she is the youngest pupil to receive a Stella this quickly. Anya realizes this is the time when Damien will come begging her to come to his house, and after it, her father will thank her for bringing peace to the world. But to her surprise, Damien is more angry than ever, and on top of it, even though her image has improved inside her class, everyone believes she must have cheated. Surprisingly, Damien comes to Anya's defense. He reminds others that their academy is not a third-rate place that would give Stella to anyone without any investigation. But this all makes Damien more frustrated to see a mere commoner has a lead on him. At lunch, Becky asks Anya what reward she is going to request. At first, Anya was thinking of peanuts for the whole year. But Becky suggests her to think of a better thing, like a pet. Anya gets a nice idea. She asks Damien if he has a pet. Damien didn't reply and leaves. But Anya read his mind and found out Damien has a dog. So she decides to ask for a dog as well, so that Damien will invite her to his house and world peace would be restored. At home, Anya arrives and requests her father for a dog. Lloyd thinks it's a good idea to have a guard dog. And on the other side, Yor's worried about the danger big dogs possess. Anya reads their thoughts and starts to fear. She emphasizes that she wants a dog that is tiny and cute. Lloyd prefers a guard dog, but after all, it's Anya's gift, so he agrees and decides to buy it the next weekend. Finally, it's Saturday. Anya is so excited that she almost ends up choking on her breakfast. After dressing up, the Forger family heads to the pet shop. The owner of the shop works for Westalian, and after knowing the true demands, he shows the dogs. Lloyd wants to give it a shot just in case Anya happens to like guard dogs. But he soon realizes there's no way Anya is going to agree to buy any one of them. The owner suggests they go to a pet adoption center, which is just a little bit ahead. But before they can go, Lloyd is called up by another agent. Lloyd starts pretending to have a bad stomach and tells Anya and Yor to go ahead without him. Yor insists they can wait. But Anya reads Lloyd's mind and helps him by telling that her father takes a long time to defecate and that they should go ahead without him. Yor, blushing, wildly agrees and goes to the pet adoption center. Lloyd is thankful to Anya, but thinks maybe she did a little too much. After meeting up with another agent, he heads to the headquarters. In the headquarters, we see a young boy named Chris has been captured. 2 days ago, the foreign minister of Westalian, Brantz, came to Berlin to attend a summit which is going to be held today. But Westalian got an account from one of their agents that a group of students studying at Berlin University are planning to attack the foreign minister. That's why after capturing Chris, he is being questioned for further information about the attack. but he is reluctant to disclose anything. But to his surprise, Sylvia tells him he is not needed anymore because his leader has been caught. Chris is in disbelief and is taken to another cell. On his way, he sees his leader, Keith, being handcuffed. The moment Keith sees Chris, he starts putting all the blame on him and clarifies it's Chris who is behind the attack. It's devastating for Chris to be betrayed by his leader. He clarifies that he isn't the leader, and it's Keith. In the cell, he starts disclosing about their hideouts, their exact plan, and the method to attack the minister. Lloyd's disguise worked. But on hearing the method of attacking the foreign minister is by explosives strapped to a dozen trained dogs. Everyone is in shock and worry. Stopping well-trained canines is not at all easy. Lloyd is suspicious as to how a bunch of ordinary students have the finances to train a dozen dogs. Because training a dog requires a lot of resources and time. The only way they could have pulled it off is if a powerful person is backing their activities. Upon knowing the hideouts and further info about the plan, a meeting is called up. According to Sylvia's instruction, Luke is assigned to leak this information so that the secret police will take action. Because no government would want their reputation to be destroyed in such a way. And Lloyd with other agents is assigned to raid the hideouts and capture the students and the dogs. The scene shifts to the pet adoption center where Anya and Yor have just arrived. On seeing so many cute animals, Anya is very excited. Anya notices a big furry dog outside. On looking at him, she sees an image of her family. Anya is confused as to how the dog knows about her family. She gets curious. While Yor is busy talking with the staff, Anya sneaks out to the building in which the dog was taken. Upon arriving, she sees alongside him there are a lot of dogs tied up. She hears someone talking inside the room and tries to listen. Inside the room, it's Keith and other students. They are very excited to initiate the plan and bring back Astania's former glory. By killing Westali's foreign minister, Keith is optimistic that a war will break out and Westali's will be wiped out from the world's map. Anya is worried to know about it. She tries to escape, however. She is caught by Kurt, who is one of the students. Keith can't risk leaving any witness behind, no matter if it's a little girl. Without any hesitation, he approaches Anya to kill her. Just then, the white dog breaks free and stands in front of Anya to protect her. But when one of the students shows him a rod, he gets scared and hides behind Anya. As Keith approaches them, Anya reads the dog's thoughts and learns a phone is about to ring. And surprisingly, after a few seconds the phone rings. Keith is notified about their hideouts being raided one by one. Keith finally understands why he hasn't seen Chris since this morning. As of now, Keith doesn't know it's Westali's agents who are raiding it, and believes the secret police have found out about their plan. But he soon notices that Anya with a white dog has run away. After filling up other students with what they have to do, together with Kurt, Keith goes after Anya to eliminate her. On the other side, Yor is freaking out as she is not able to find Anya. She becomes more terrified when she remembers recent news about young girls being abducted only to be sold off as someone else's bride. Just then Yor sees Anya getting taken away by a dog. Instantly she runs after her. Anya on her way finally understands that, just like her, this dog also has a special power. But unlike her, he has the ability to see the future. Anya is excited. With his help, she is ready to save the world and earn another Stella. But to her surprise, the dog just keeps on running in circles. Eventually, they are caught by Keith. Kurt grabs Anya and tries to get rid of her. But in the nick of time, Yor comes, and with just one kick, she destroys Kurt. Keith is apprehensive to see the woman as the little girl's mother. And now, he also has to eliminate her. He orders the dog to attack her, but after seeing Yor's terrifying face, he flees. But it also made Anya afraid. After hearing all the noises, people nearby start to come to inspect the situation. Keith cannot risk wasting any more time, so he departs. After tying up Kurt, Yor embraces Anya and expresses how much frightened she was just thinking she would lose her. Anya apologizes for being so reckless and promises she'll never run away again without telling her. Anya tells Yor about everything she heard about evil people planning to attack using explosives. Yor immediately notifies the police about it. While she is talking, Anya reads the white dog's mind and sees the image where her father is deceased. She further sees a clock tower bell ringing, a huge explosion happening, Lloyd's crushed body, and news about Westalians declaring war against Ostania after the foreign minister's demise. Anya is scared. She cannot let her father perish, because then world peace would be gone. She wants to assist him, but if she tells her mother about it, then Yor will uncover her powers. So as an excuse to give toilet paper to her father, Anya gets on the dog and runs towards the clock tower. Yor immediately follows her. The call Yor made is intercepted by Westali's agents. With Kurt being caught, apart from Keith, every student has been apprehended, and as expected, they are unwilling to divulge any information. In fact, they boast about bombarding Westalians and celebrating the massacre. Sylvia, with a serious tone, asks if they have ever lost their limb or smelled rotten flesh. Have they witnessed their parents and siblings being crushed in front of their eyes in a crumbling edifice? Or have they ever been so famished that they tried to eat a piece of wood? With them knowing nothing about war, she furiously tells them they have no right to talk about reveling in a war. Even though the students' resolve doesn't waver, after listening to Sylvia they stay quiet. Now, with only one hideout remaining, Lloyd, with other agents, heads to the location. The summit is about to start in 2 hours, and by this time Keith realizes he is the only one remaining, and the people he thought were secret police are actually from Westalians. Since the last hideout in Clock Tower hasn't been raided, he decides to plant an explosive so he can teach Westalians agents some lessons. After planting the bomb, Keith sets up a dog with an explosive and decides to attack the foreign minister himself. Anya arrives at the clock tower. She knows the explosion happened when the bell rang, but she cannot read the time, so she asks the old man when the big bell will ring. The old man tells her in about 30 minutes. But even after knowing it, Anya doesn't know how much is 30 minutes, so she decides to just head to the tower. After arriving, as she is about to open the door, the white dog barks, and she realizes the bomb will detonate if she opens it. She finds a way through the window and gets inside the room. She wears her gloves. Anya has seen her spy anime and knows she has to cut the red wire to disarm the explosive. But on seeing all the wires are black, she is crestfallen. She is worried that time is slipping away. On seeing a ketchup bottle left by the criminals, Anya gets an idea. Soon after, Lloyd with other agents arrive. With caution, they proceed further. They see the door covered in ketchup with a big "No" written on it. One of the agents believes it's a trick and rushes to open the door. Outside, as the tower bell rings, Anya closes her eyes in the hope her father sees the message. Back in the tower, as the agent is about to open the door, Lloyd stops him. He has an intuition that it's some kind of message. Using a broken mirror, he sees an explosive attached to the door. Knowing how close they were to death, the other agents felt relief. Seeing the secret police have caught up, Lloyd leaves disarming of the explosive to them and escapes. 30 minutes later, it's time for the summit. Members of the secret police are here for the foreign minister's security. But strangely, the foreign minister gets in a different car and without any security drives away. The reason for this peculiar behavior is because it's Lloyd in disguise. He took the foreign minister's clothes to lure Keith towards him. As he starts circling, the other agents find the vehicle in which Keith is and tries to shoot him. Keith successfully avoids getting hit and throws a hand grenade. After escaping from them, using the dog's ability to smell, Keith goes after the foreign minister. On seeing the foreign minister has abandoned the car and is running away, Keith set the dog free. The moment the dog bites the minister, he will press the button. But on seeing the foreign minister's incredible movements, Keith is really impressed. But soon, Lloyd is cornered. As the dog jumps, Lloyd uses the gun to remove the jacket and throws it into the river. Keith, seeing the situation, immediately presses the button. But to his surprise, the explosive detonates in the river. Lloyd puts the dog into the dumpster and approaches Keith. By this time, Keith realizes all this time he wasn't chasing the minister, it's someone else. Realizing he has blundered, Keith escapes. Lloyd knows his number plate and goes after him. As Keith is fleeing, Yor sees him and suspects he has taken Anya. She jumps in front of him, and with just one kick, she takes Keith down. Later, after Yor reports to the police, Keith is apprehended. And with everything being resolved, Lloyd heads to the pet adoption center. But on the way, he meets both Yor and Anya. Yor explains what happened and apologizes for being a terrible mother. Lloyd scolds Anya for being so reckless. To know both of them were caught up in his mission, Lloyd is relieved that they are safe. Soon Sylvia comes in disguise as an officer from the secret police. She is here to take back the white dog, but Anya is against it. She tells them that he saved her life from the criminals and that she wants to adopt him. Lloyd tries to convince her he is not even a little puppy like she wanted, but no matter what anyone says, Anya wants it. To make it happen, she gives the ultimatum to not attend the academy if they don't let her take him back home. Sylvia cannot put Operation Strix in danger, so she agrees. But before she hands the dog, she wants to make sure it's not infected with any disease and promises to deliver the dog tomorrow. Anya is very happy. Seeing Anya's smile, Sylvia remembers her daughter who passed away long ago. The Forger family walks home. On the way, Anya and Yor are very happy as they helped in apprehending the criminals. But on the other side, Lloyd is physically and mentally exhausted from doing these missions along with Operation Strix.